Chapter 21. Snow was falling by the time the wolves came near the clearing. Neshoba, working against his exhaustion, was happy to halt. "Wait here," he said. The four other wolves held back while Neshoba crept forward. Shivering, he stood behind a bush and peered out. His paw ached. His heart was beating so loudly he wondered if the other wolves could hear it. Ears cocked, eyes wide, nose sniffing, Neshoba studied the open area. The clammy air smelled of hard cold. Tiny snowflakes drifted down slowly, as if reluctant to drop. The ground was already layered with a thin veil of snow, which, in the fading dusk, seemed to glow. All was silent. There was no sign of the raven or of the elk. Neshoba stole a quick glance behind her. The other wolves were watching him carefully. Tonigan's eyes were worried. Garby's were sullen. Nikito and Pildown stood patiently a few steps to the rear, their breath puffy and white. Neshoba looked up. He could see no stars. The old wolf turned back to the clearing, trying to decide what to do. Where is that stupid raven? Should I wait for her? Should I try to find the elk on my own? They could be miles away by now, and this snow will be making hunting much harder. Chapter 22. "I was hoping we were done with snow," Casey's mom said as she headed north and home not long after 5. She drove slowly, hands gripping the wheel. Shouldn't have taken off the snow tires. "Probably turn to rain," said Casey, barely looking up from his archery book. On his head he wore the camping headlamp he'd retrieved from the glove compartment. The lamp cast a circle of light on the page so he could read. "How about calling your dad to see if it's snowing where he is?" his mom said. "We're still in cell phone range." She took one hand off the steering wheel, quickly grabbed her purse from below, and flipped it toward Casey. Casey rummaged through the purse, pulled out his mom's cell phone, and brought up his father's name. The phone rang 10 times. Finally, his father's voice said, "Hey there, teenager." Beaming, Casey said, "Hi, where are you?" "Still in Philbeck. More complicated than I thought. Just finishing up." "Guess what?" "What?" "It's snowing." "You're kidding. Raining here." Casey turned toward his mom. "He's just finishing. No snow, just rain." She said, "Ask him when he'll be home." "Mom wants to know." "You're breaking up." "When will you be home?" Casey said in a louder voice. "Can't hear." The phone went dead. "We're out of range." Casey put the phone back into his mom's purse. "I do wish they'd put a cell tower up here. It'd be so much easier if we had service." She put on the car's headlights. "I guess," said Casey, returning to his book. His mom drove on, concentrating on the road. The wipers switched back and forth in a rhythmic beat. Casey glanced up. The driving snow looked like arrows coming right at them. Chapter 23. Neshoba took another quick glance back at his wolves. It was a mistake. He was sure they sensed his uncertainty. Mockery showed on Garby's face. Tonigan shifted uneasily. "Caw!" Coming from right overhead, the sound took Neshoba by surprise. Merla was perched on a tree branch, her blackness a hole in the falling snow, her beady eyes bright. Whether she had just landed, or had been there all along, watching him, Neshoba did not know. "You are slow," said the bird. "We're here, aren't we?" Neshoba snarled. The raven cocked her head to one side. "I've decided you're actually 12 years old." Neshoba felt deep hatred for the bird. How dare she talk to him this way, in front of the pack? Had they heard? It took all his willpower to stay. "Where are the elk?" he demanded. Merla leaned forward, opened her beak, and stuck out her black tongue. A silent laugh. "Tell me!" cried Neshoba. "Are you truly ready?" the bird asked. "I've got a good mind to eat you," hissed the wolf. "Feathers and all?" "Even your bill." "Thanks, I'll remember that. But are you ready, wolf?" "Of course," he cried, not daring to look back to see what the pack was making of this exchange. "A quarter mile on now," said the raven. "It should be quite easy for you all, if you do it right." To Neshoba, the way she had said "if" felt like a jab of her beak. "Just lead the way," the wolf said with exasperation. Merla fluffed her neck feathers, extended her wings, gave a caw, and leaped into the air. Neshoba looked back. "Follow me," he said to the wolves. "As you follow a bird," Garby sneered. Neshoba, pretending he had not heard, hurried after the raven. The other wolves fell in line, gray shadows in the milky white air.